This video is sponsored by Squarespace. The My Little Pony fandom has never shied away from the dark and disturbing. From the earliest days of the fandom, it's been infamous for its horror and grimdark fan works. From tales of terror like Cupcakes and Rainbow Factory to spooky games like Story of the Blanks and Lunar Game to, of course, the many pieces of horror artwork created by fans. There's just something about the juxtaposition of the sweet innocence of My Little Pony and the dark and disturbing that makes horror content of the kids show so fascinating for so many people. With My Little Pony Friendship is Magic having ended nearly 5 years ago and the golden age of the fandom having faded much earlier than that, it's hard to believe that the kids show still has an audience today. But there's been a huge recent resurgence in My Little Pony horror content, specifically uncanny and gory alternate universes where ponies are infected with zombie-like viruses. Today let's take a look at the My Little Pony infection trend and examine why TikTok has been flooded with pony content years after the show ended. If you want to make a website for your My Little Pony infection AU, I have just the thing, Squarespace. Squarespace has thousands of unique and stunning website templates which you can then customize, update content, and add features to fit your needs. You can make any Squarespace template do whatever you want so your amazing and epic idea, brand, product, site, or project stands out online on every device. Squarespace is a brilliant solution for merch, whether you're a creator, a small business, or just someone who wants to sell silly stickers and mugs and prints. Design your products and production, shipping, and inventory are handled for you, saving you a ton of time and money. There are endless features for small businesses too. Whether you sell physical or digital products, Squarespace has the tools that you need to start selling online, all while looking stunning, sleek, and professional. You can easily sell custom merch and create a passive income stream that engages your audience and scales your brand. And that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all of the amazing, fantastic, incredible things that Squarespace can do for you. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/izzies to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. A huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back into the world of My Little Pony infection AUs. AUs, or alternate universes, are the cornerstone of any good fandom, and My Little Pony has plenty. In these AUs, fans reimagine their favorite characters in all kinds of different scenarios. Evil AUs, where all of the characters are edgy villains, AUs where the main characters are replaced by next generation counterparts or completely new characters, AUs where they're all humans. Oh wait, no, that one was official. The My Little Pony fandom was astronomically popular in the early to mid 2010s, and with this popularity came a huge online community and plenty of fan work. From fanfiction and zines to fan art and animations to, of course, many alternate universes. One of the fandom's favorite pastimes was making next generation kids, or ship kids, where they would imagine what the main six's offspring would look like. One of the most popular ship kids, to the point where she basically had a fandom of her own, was Nova Star Sparkle, the child of Twilight Sparkle and Flash Sentry. I remember being absolutely obsessed with her as a kid. Other ship kids would be created for the other characters, and many AUs were created where these next generation ponies would take the place of the main six. In other AUs, artists simply redesigned the main six, and in others still, the main six would be replaced with a completely random roster of multicolored MS Paint OCs. There are also tons of AUs where there are slight changes to the lore and designs of the ponies themselves, like unicorns having long tails, beards, and cloven hooves, Pegasi having varying wing sizes and lots of fluff to keep them warm in the sky, and earth ponies being more buff and strong for toiling in the fields or pulling carts. And that's just scraping the surface of the sheer number of AUs that are out there. A few specific examples of famous alternate universes include the Enchanted Library, written by Monochromatic, an AU where Twilight is an ancient alicorn trapped inside her library and must be freed by Rarity. This one is notably popular among shippers due to the Raritwi ship featured in it. Another example is Background Pony, written by Short Skirts and Explosions. In this AU, popular background character Lyra Heartstrings is cursed to be forgotten, with ponies ponies forgetting who she is within minutes of meeting her, and all of her writing disappearing as soon as she writes it down. Contrary to these rather sweet and innocent AUs, the most popular and prevalent alternate universe back in the heyday of the show was Fallout Equestria, also known as the Ashes of Equestria, a dark and at times disturbing crossover fic between My Little Pony and Fallout. It's also widely recognized as the longest My Little Pony fanfiction and one of the longest works of fanfiction in existence, full stop. FOE is a sprawling work of fiction set in an alternate universe where Equestria has been bombed and turned into an irradiated wasteland after waging war with the Zebra Empire. FOE can be seen as a sort of blueprint for the Infection AU, as it features a post-apocalyptic setting, irradiated/infected ponies, and themes of war and violence. Many of the main characters in FOE have been hardened by war, having taken up ranks as militants or combat nurses and having scars, prosthetic limbs, and severe injuries. War never changes. This is very similar to a lot of the themes in the Infection AU, and with how impactful FOE was on the fandom in its early days, there's no doubt that it played a huge role in influencing the Infection trend. So let's actually dive into the gritty details of the AU that is taking TikTok by storm. On December 13th, 2023, a user called Osu's Hat posted a slideshow on TikTok describing an alternate universe in which the characters of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic had been infected with a quote, flesh and mind-eating disease called Pestraobia. The disease starts with cold-like symptoms before quickly advancing to include random and disturbing changes in behavior, bruising and decaying of the skin, sagging skin underneath the eyes, incoherent speech, hostility and aggression, and in some advanced cases of mutation, stretched out limbs, hanging eyes, and unhinged jaws. Using simple bios featuring PNGs of the characters, an assortment of inventory items, and text describing the character's infection status, sleep, stress, and sanity, Osu's had expanded on the lore of their alternate universe. Starlight Glimmer had been the initiator of Pestraobia, as she contracted it by coming too close to chemical bins of waste. It appeared as a simple cold, but it rapidly progressed and began rotting away at her and the ponies that she passed the disease on to. After Starlight Glimmer went missing and the infection began to spread, the ponies had to band together to defend themselves against the hordes of infected, with the survivors in Ponyville arming themselves and taking on combat roles. In the original Pestraobia AU, Rainbow Dash is a lookout, as is Pinkie Pie. They're both stressed and paranoid, but otherwise healthy and uninfected. Fluttershy is also a survivor and uninfected, hiding in a bunker and trying to find a cure. Twilight is infected, but more docile due to heavy testing. She's eventually quote-unquote cured, but it's still clear that something's extremely off about her behavior, likely hinting to the fact that she's still infected. Applejack is in an early stage of infection, and Rarity is very heavily infected. As the AU progresses, eventually Pinkie Pie becomes infected, and Applejack begins to reach an advanced stage of infection. Celestia's status is unknown, but judging by her bio and the fact that Luna stays in the empty castle by her side to look after her, it's likely that she is heavily infected. Shining Armor contracted the virus and went insane, causing Princess Cadence to flee the castle with her baby Flurry Heart in an attempt to find a bunker to hide out in. There are other side characters that feature in the Pestraobia AU, such as Lyra and Bonbon, who are both survivors, Sweetie Belle, who is bitten by Rarity and is in the early stages of infection, and Nurse Redheart, who is serving as the primary doctor/medic for the AU. There were also a few self-indulgent original characters that were featured, which is pretty common with AUs. I mean, what's the point in creating a whole new universe to share with people if you can't put your funny little guys in there? These Pestraobia videos reached upwards of 500,000 views and have taken on a life of their own beyond the original creator, with tons of brilliant offshoots and spin-off AUs, all based on the idea of an infection and outbreak in the land of Equestria. Let's take a look at some fascinating examples of horrifying infected ponies, shall we? One of my absolute favorite works to come out of this trend is a short series by TikTok user Aerofeed depicting an outbreak in Ponyville using this amazing, almost video game-esque style, utilizing moving PNGs, text boxes, and even these sort of Animal Crossing adjacent noises for when the characters are speaking. It feels like watching a playthrough of a horror game, and I absolutely love it. The characters, despite all being basic still images, move with such fluidity, and I absolutely love the way the series is animated. And the backgrounds and environments, again despite being real life images from Google, or maybe because of that fact, create this really spooky, uncanny atmosphere. Unfortunately, the creator only made a few videos before retiring the series, but it's a real testament to how creative you can get with basic editing, especially since Aerofy just used a simple editing app called Light Motion, which anyone can download and use. About a week after the original Pestraobia videos were posted, another TikTok user called Bunny is Cute began posting videos about their own My Little Pony infection AU called the Smile virus. The videos were formatted in much the same way, slides featuring individual characters, their health, sanity, and other stats, as well as their infection status. In the Smile virus AU, Applejack is the only pony confirmed to be uninfected, though her sanity is low as she's trapped in a bunker and unsure of where her sister and family are. Fluttershy claims to be uninfected but has a severe wound which she claims is an animal scratch, though that's dubious. Twilight Sparkle was the first infected, and judging by the caption of the post, "Twilight, what did you do?" it's likely that she may have somehow created the virus herself. Rarity is in an early stage of infection, succumbing to the virus but still sentient and aware of her suffering, and Rainbow Dash is severely infected, rotting away at the bone. Pinkie Pie is missing, having been last seen leaving Ponyville at the beginning of the outbreak. The Smile virus, much like Pestraobia, took off on TikTok, gaining over 500,000 views. Another fantastic infection AU is Swamp Fever, created by the TikTok user etc., who goes by Chloe. They've made some of the most viral images to come out of the trend, with a super unique and horrific style that turns the innocent and sweet ponies of Ponyville into twisted and warped trees. The Swamp Fever AU is based on the real swamp fever illness from season 7 of the show, and incorporating the actual show lore into an AU like this is really cool. The most famous image created by Chloe is this one, which actually depicts Shining Armor, who in their AU is infected and trapped in containment, trying desperately to get back to his wife and child. This image of a twisted Lyra heartstrings, as well as what is likely Rainbow Dash, are also extremely well known for their spookiness. These images are also popular that they're basically the messed up poster children for the infection AU, used in tons of videos and thumbnails. And you know what? I'm not the exception. I will also definitely be using that shit in the thumbnail. What can I say? It's great art. While the infection AU was created and spread around on TikTok, it made its way out of containment and onto many other corners of the internet. The search MLP infection has over 11,000 results on DeviantArt, and Twitter artists have been posting tons of fun and unique takes on Pestraobia, the Smile virus, Swamp Fever, and even their own original infections. Not to hashtag plug my own work, but I even tried my own hand at making a My Little Pony infection AU. Allow me, if you will, to lore dump for a minute. I'm gonna nerd out about this for like the next couple minutes, so if you want to skip this whole rant about my personal My Little Pony AU, you can skip to the timestamp on screen. Okay, let's go. So in my infection AU, Twilight has the virus, but since her magic is so powerful, she's been the only one who's been able to fight it off for an extended period of time. However, it is slowly consuming her, and Fluttershy is keeping her alive but tied up to a chain so she can't bite and infect anyone else. Fluttershy is convinced that Twilight, being the princess of friendship and one of the most powerful ponies, is key to finding a cure and saving Equestria, so she keeps her alive, tending to her constantly opening wounds and protecting her from the other ponies. For instance, Applejack and Rarity, who are both high-ranking leaders in the Ponyville Militia, a ragtag group of survivors who formed their own camp and defense force in the wake of the infection. Though AJ and Rarity both love Fluttershy, they refuse to let her into the fortified survivor camp in the middle of town, as they believe that bringing the infected Twilight inside would endanger the population. Both being leaders and responsible for their people, they refuse to let that happen. They have tried to convince Fluttershy many times that Twilight is gone and for her own safety she should put her down, for lack of a better word. But Fluttershy's heart hasn't been hardened against the world yet, and she still maintains that innocent hope and spirit of friendship that the others lost long ago. Due to her banishment from the survivor camp, she and Twilight stay barricaded out in her cottage, occasionally leaving to forage for berries and medicinal herb, as well as to plead to AJ and Rarity to let her in. And speaking of AJ and Rarity, they're both hardened soldiers now, both leading the surviving citizens of Ponyville, arming and training them against the threats, and defending them from the aggressive infected that try to break into the camp. AJ and Rarity are bitter enemies and refuse to speak to each other. When the infection began to hit, the Cutie Mark Crusaders were staying over at Applejack's house when Apple Bloom began to show symptoms, which Applejack just thought was an innocent cold. However, during the night, Apple Bloom bit and severely infected both Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle, leading Applejack to have to kill all three. Rarity has never forgiven Applejack for this, and Applejack is infuriated at Rarity for not realizing how hard the decision was and that she also lost a sister that day. After losing Scootaloo in the incident, Rainbow Dash fled Ponyville and has been considered missing since, and Pinkie Pie is in the middle of it all. She's training ponies in the militia, but like Fluttershy, hasn't fully lost hope in the power of friendship yet. The others call her naive, but she believes that if the group joins together in harmony like the old days, Equestria can be saved. Though the group by all accounts is irreparably fractured, Pinkie Pie still hasn't given up hope. She regularly sneaks out to visit Fluttershy and bring her provisions, and spends all of her spare time searching for answers as to where Rainbow Dash could be. Okay, so those are all my ideas so far. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more nerdy rants about My Little Pony zombies. Also, if you guys have any headcanons or AUs, please share them in the comments. I'm really obsessed with reading them at the moment, so please share. I would love to have a look at them. Okay, now back to your regular programming. So now we come to the inevitable why. Why are images of gruesome and gory ponies filling up the For You page of countless innocent TikTok users who probably think that they've been teleported back to 2013 with all this edgy pony fan art? Well, there are quite a few possible reasons. The first and most obvious is that contrary to what many people believe, the My Little Pony fandom is still very much a thing. It didn't just disappear when the show ended. Yes, the fandom is a lot smaller and more niche than it was a decade ago, and it doesn't permeate internet culture like it used to, but to this day there are tons and tons of fans making dedicated art and literature based on the show. Just because it's suddenly trendy and in the spotlight doesn't mean that it's a new thing. MLP fans have been making AUs and headcanons and rewrites for years and years, many of them sharing the same dark and edgy themes of the infection AU. Like, post-apocalyptic ponies and infected zombie ponies are very much not a new thing. Those have been a thing in the fandom since like forever. Like, I literally remember seeing stuff like that when I was a kid in the fandom, and in internet years I'm like an old man now. I think the reason that this particular AU got so popular was just a perfect storm of factors. 2010's nostalgia is very big right now, so recently My Little Pony Friendship is Magic has been having these little random bursts of popularity as different artists and creators rediscover it and make content about it. Osu's Hat's original format with the simple text slides and Google PNGs formatted into a TikTok slideshow is also just super easy and accessible. They're simple to make on basically any software, and you can craft a lore as intricate or as vague as you want. So anyone regardless of skill level or artistic talent can join in on the fun. TikToks also just kind of strike gold in the algorithm sometimes and really pop off, and the original Pestraobia TikToks definitely got a lot of eyes on them. If you want a more hashtag deep look at why it's popular, my take is that there's a real sense of community that forms around these kinds of trends when they take off. It's all about creativity and world building and taking each other's ideas and building off of them. There's a pretty distinct lack of that creative community spirit in a lot of online spaces these days, so I think that creators just really enjoy having a space where they can flex their creative muscles, meet other people who like the same show as them, and make new friends. It's actually really cool because what I've noticed in the Infection AU fandom is that quite a few fans have actually never watched the show and are only being introduced to it now, which is really cool. I'm glad that because of these messed up scary pony TikToks that people get to discover My Little Pony Friendship is Magic for the first time years after it ended. It really is a great show with a fantastically creative fandom, and it's always really exciting whenever it pops back into the public eye and gets a ton of fan content. Understandably, the Infection AU isn't for everyone. There are a lot of people who like their ponies unharmed and living happily and safely, but for those who like the more darker side of the fandom, the Infection AU is a wild ride. I really hope that we see more unique AUs becoming popular in the My Little Pony space because it's always such a blast interpreting them in your own way and seeing others' interpretations. And speaking of that, if you guys have any AUs or headcanons yourself, as I said earlier, please do share. I would absolutely love to read them. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that you enjoyed the topic. Please share if you have any AUs. Share your thoughts on the Infection AU. Share your favorite AUs from back in the day. Share your favorite edgy My Little Pony fan art that you're obsessed with as a kid. I know we all had one. Don't lie to me. Anyway, I really hope that you enjoyed. If you have any suggestions for things that you want me to cover in the future, definitely let me know. And yeah, thank you for watching, thank you for supporting me, and I really hope to see you in the next one. Bye! A huge thank you to my Garfield overlords over on Patreon: Bunzo, Jar the Bar, Zoe Mars, Sophie H, Thigh Heavenly, Leanne O, Hazy, Jet Secret, Oliver Brains, Blue Mayfeld, Katrina Likes 5e Stuff, Michelle Olsen, Matt LRJ, A Riddle Wrapped in an Enigma Hidden by a Question Mark, Chicory, Doug, Dana Homegardner, Charlie B, Simon, Xavier Araujo, Helm Hamburger Hand, Dozo Blint, Sheriff Whiskey, Astrian Vortex, Jesse Chisholm, Lee XX, Grip Gunderson, and Joe Bradshaw. Thank you so much for supporting me, it means the world. If you want to join these guys over on Patreon, the link will be in the description. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in the next one. Bye!